everybody, it's Shami, and I am so sorry yet again for having a really long break between posting videos, but I wanted to make sure now that we're wrapping up our third year of medicine here at PUMS that I get on to address a lot of the questions I've gotten from people over Instagram, Facebook, and email, kind of addressing what clinicals are like here in Poland, abroad, and at PUMS specifically. So I have my notes in front of me, so if I start looking down, you know what I'm doing. And I just want to give a special shout out to my friend and colleague, Sebastian. So if you want to follow his page, it's like at FitBastian, right? Yep,
that's me, the cameraman behind.
There you go, the disembodied voice.
Disembodied voice.
And so if you guys want to check out what Poznań looks like, or you want to follow his fitness tips and videos, or music videos that he makes himself with his friends.
Travel videos, vlogs, so
right.
If you guys want to know more about Poznań, just check out the channel.
Exactly, so you can check that out if you'd like. Otherwise, he's the one to thank for my video quality drastically improving for the last couple videos. So, cool. Now that he's blushing and everything is awkward, I'm gonna jump right in. So, in general with clinics, it's been really great to go through these different clerkships. Obviously, I'm sure this is the same way in the States, though I don't know. It really depends on like whether it's a good clerkship or a bad clerkship or great rotation. Really heavily depends on which physician you're actually working with that day. And our school does a really great job of rotating you through professors. So you're not with the same person all the time doing the same thing. You get different perspectives on the same topics that are high yield, or you're getting completely like different topics that, you know, matter more to someone who subspecializes in something specific. So I'm sure that that's the same, but I wanted to start with that. It's been a really good experience so far. In regards to PUMS specifically, for anyone who's coming to study here, keep in mind that in your last year of studies, you're going to be divided into two groups. One is Group A, one is Group B, and the entire class should divide roughly in half. Group A will actually be in Poland in their classes, their final year, during the fall semester, and then away in the spring. Group B, on the other hand, will be doing their electives away in the fall and then here in Poznań in the spring. So your graduation falls at the end of May, beginning of June. You can kind of plan accordingly. You'll have to figure out like if you have an apartment, if you're subletting, or what you're doing with that. But most importantly, for those of you trying to come back to the United States after graduation, you need to be kind of cognizant of that, and you should be picking Group B, so that way you can get your electives done in the States or wherever you want to during the fall, in time for your ERS application, which should go out about September, potentially October if they change the dates a bit. So I hope that made sense. If not, feel free to comment. I'll answer questions, of course. But that being said, I kind of want to jump into a few things. For the Group B schedule, which is what I did this year, in our third year, because we actually have a division a little bit different. In the 4-year MD program, we have Group A and B in 3rd and 4th year. For the 6 MD program and grad path programs that exist now, that the 4 MD is gone, they actually have a different division, and I think you only have to worry about it in your last year. At least that's what I've heard from 6 MDs. So that being said, we started off the year with psychiatry, transitioned into heme-onc, then pediatrics, internal medicine, which had subspecialties, of course, within it. So endo, diabetology, gastroenterology, pulmonology, cardiology, and it might be missing 1 or 2. Then we transitioned into surgery. We had a lot of time in vascular surgery here, which was nice. We had cardiovascular surgery, thoracic surgery. They're split in Poland. It's not one specialty. It's like 2 different ones, so you do different residencies for them, followed by general surgery. And then we kind of finished off with emergency medicine, family medicine, and just now we're finishing OB this week. So this kind of gives you a vague idea of what specialties and like how they're broken down and what order they're in. If you're Group B, again, it's only gonna matter in your last year, I guess, or I don't know how this is gonna work with the grad path, but we'll figure it out. So that being said, if you are trying to go to the United States, one other thing I wanna mention is in the description, I'm gonna link a PDF that you can access, and in that PDF, it's gonna basically show you that in the 6-year program, when are you taking USMLE Step 1 or Step 2, hypothetically, like when's the best time period, time range that you should be doing it. And then also like other strict deadlines or really high priority requirements that you need to think about. So like the OET language exam or your ERS application when you're submitting that, kind of things like that. So it also includes for foreigners that are coming to Poland that don't live here and don't have EU citizenship, a little bit of information about when to apply for your temporary residency card, things like that. So now, that being said, just some general comments, because this is probably the #1 question I've been asked over the last year, is what are the clinical rotations like? Everyone always has a question about the language barrier between speaking Polish and English. And so I think those, I want to say, I might be forgetting something, but I think those are the 2 biggest things. First things first, most of your patients speak Polish. A lot of them don't speak English. I'd say if they're younger, there's like a good 60 to 80% chance that they can speak English. Not necessarily that they will. And then if they're older generation, typically they don't. Every now and then you're surprised and it's pretty fun. But that being said, your professor will always speak, obviously, English and Polish. And so they can work as a translator for you. Another thing you should be cognizant of is that you get to decide on your subgroups and like the small group of students that there's like 6 per group-ish. You get to decide who's in your subgroups during your clinical years. So try to be smart, befriend a Polish person and drag them into your group, because sometimes what's nice is then the professors will be really hands-off and they'll let you run patient interviews entirely by yourself, sometimes before you're qualified too, so that's always really funny for them as they correct us afterwards. But then you can actually like speak with the patient directly, and it can be as close to a clinical, you know, interaction in the States as it can be given the language barrier. So there will always be a translator if you need it. It's good to have a student in your group that can kind of sub in, but overall, I think that's going to be the biggest difference between studying in the States and studying here, is that you can be interviewing patients, but you're always going to need that additional kind of liaison. So in regards to the quality of the rotations, oh my goodness. So I very candidly address some of the drawbacks of studying in Poland, or studying, honestly, probably abroad anywhere. Making some generalizations here. I hope I'm not wrong, sorry. But there is a difference in the organization, and sometimes things change last minute, or they're like constantly evolving, or students actually have a larger say in like exam dates and like when classes take place sometimes here, more than I've ever seen in my undergrad or graduate degrees in the States. So that's something to be cognizant of. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's frustrating, but first and second year, when you're going through those basic clinical sciences, all the frustration that you deal with trying to get schedules done with, you know, so many classes happening concurrently, everything is worth it when you get to clinicals, because our professors are really, really smart and they love teaching. There's a couple bad eggs, I think, at every university where you're just like, okay, you clearly would prefer to be alone right now and not be teaching us. But I'd say the vast, vast majority speak excellent English. They have a lot to offer. They're ready to answer any questions that we have, even if they're the dumbest questions in the world. Even if they've repeated something 2 or 3 times, if you come in there and you're pretty humble about it and you're like, hey, I know this was covered in lecture, but it didn't make sense, you will not leave without having the answer that you want. So I think that's really, really important. Now, here's the biggest perk. Hands down, I think by far and away, is we get so much more hands-on experience than I ever dreamed possible. When I was in the States and I was working as a physician recruiter, I used to shadow some surgeries on like after hours because I was interested in it. No surprise now, I guess. But medical students were like, sometimes by like the trash cans, like far away from the patient, not allowed to do anything because they were medical students and they were asked very simple questions about anatomy, and it was more of like an interaction with the professor as they're performing procedures. Here in Poland, we're actually covered, like our malpractices through the hospital, and we get to kind of do a lot more than I ever imagined. So that comes down to, I mean, like bone marrow biopsies, cardioversion, assisting on surgery, like placing sutures on patients as a student. As long as you've been proficient and you've had great interactions with professors, especially if you're working with a professor a lot during a rotation and then you take the initiative to ask to shadow them outside of classes, you build that that rapport with them, you build this relationship where they can actually realize that you know what you're doing, you have some experience, especially if they've seen you demonstrate it in some other way, whether it's on a sponge or one of the fake skin pads. Then when there's an opportunity for you to step up and place sutures or put in a catheter or assist in any number of different procedures, you actually get to do it. So it's not just watching, which is really nice. I'm trying to think of what else is worth sharing, but I think that's probably the most important piece of information that I want to get out there for anyone who's thinking about coming to study at PUMS. If you have any other questions, either about clinical rotations or even just your application process, your interview, anything like that, feel free to reach out to myself, or I have a few other colleagues at our university who have channels as well. You can reach out to them. Again, Sebastian is in the corner helping me film all this, giving me a thumbs up, but you can reach out to him too. But reach out to us. We're more than happy to help you. We'll connect you with whatever resources you need. We have an entire student union that's basically, we have student volunteers in leadership positions that assist with kind of any little function that you might need help with. And so they'll help facilitate whatever you need. We've got group chats with other existing students. So if you have questions, reach out. We're super excited to help you. And we're super excited about this next phase in your journey because it is one heck of an adventure. It is not easy in any sense of the word, but it's probably going to be some of the most memorable years of your life. And again, these clinical rotations, it's going to be really hard to forget. So I think that's it. Have a great day. Good to see you guys. Stay cool. I don't know. It's summer.
Stay tuned. See you guys in the next episode.
Okay,
Cool.
stay tuned. See you guys next episode. I really need to come up with like a... No, I don't record enough videos. That's it. If you have any other topics that you want us to share information about, please just reach out, let us know, and I'll try and record some videos later this summer. I'll be doing my electives in the United States, so I'm sure I'll have some experience that I want to share with you then. Bye, guys.